They handed me a paper plate and pointed to the kids' table. "You're not a priority guest," my mother said without looking up from her wine. I didn't argue, just took the plate and walked. The table was tucked behind the cake display, low to the ground, half the chairs plastic. Someone had spilled apple juice across the laminated name cards. Mine said Dan, not Daniel, and was written in orange marker, lowercase. No utensils, no napkin, just a plastic fork poking out of a paper napkin roll. It was my mother's 60th birthday party. Creststone Hotel. Ballroom B, gold-rimmed stemware, satin tablecloths, custom lighting. There was a 4-course dinner on the itinerary, a champagne toast scheduled for 8:30, a live string quartet. Everyone was there. My mother's second husband, all 4 of my half-siblings, their spouses, her lawyer, 2 country club friends I hadn't seen since I was 14, seated by name, catered plates, real silverware. I sat at the far end of the L-shaped table with 3 toddlers and a 6-year-old playing Minecraft on a tablet. Nobody spoke to me. One of the kids asked if I was the magician. I told him no. I watched as the wine was poured table to table, except ours. Someone passed me a dinner roll with a bite already missing. My mother made her entrance at 7:42. Navy silk dress, full makeup, the kind of earrings you don't wear twice. Everyone stood and clapped. She waved, did a slow circuit of the room like a campaign candidate, accepting hugs and posed photos. When she reached our table, she paused. "Oh," she said, "I didn't realize you were coming." "You sent the invite," I said. She looked at my plate, then the table. "Right. It's just, tonight's for the people who've always supported me. Emotionally, I got it." She smiled. "You understand." Then she turned to a nearby guest and said, "Isn't the cake gorgeous?" and kept walking. I finished my roll and stared at the half-served chicken breast. The toddler next to me spilled juice again. Someone stepped on my foot walking past to the real tables. Number 1 apologized. The slideshow started at 8:10. Photos of birthdays, family vacations, matching Christmas sweaters, group shots, laughing on a yacht, a ski trip I was never told about. I wasn't in any of them. They brought out the cake. My mother stood between Tyler and Madison as everyone sang. I clapped with one hand while holding my paper plate in the other. At 8:36, I stood, straightened my jacket, and walked out through the service exit. I drove home in silence, parked 2 streets away, and left the plate on the passenger seat the entire ride. At 6:12 the next morning, my phone buzzed. Missed call. Mom. Voicemail. "Daniel, something's off with the account. The spa said my card was declined. Can you check your end?" Another buzz. Voicemail number 2. "This is serious. I had a hair appointment scheduled. I'm calling the bank, but just call me." Buzz number 3. "Why is the trust portal showing a red flag?" "Daniel, don't do anything stupid." I made coffee, took the paper plate out of the fridge, sat at the kitchen table, ate the cold chicken with my fingers, didn't answer the phone. I was born Daniel Reed March. My mother named me after a poet. She told me once, years ago, during a wine-fueled confession after her second wedding. I'd asked why none of my siblings had literary names. She blinked, confused, then laughed. Maybe I was still romantic back then. She married my father when she was 23. He died when I was 6. Accident on a loading dock. I barely remember the funeral, just the smell of lilies and the way my mother didn't cry. 2 years later, she remarried. His name was Robert. Wealthy, controlled. He had a square jaw and a sprawling backyard, and he didn't like kids who asked too many questions. By the time I was 8, I lived with my grandparents. "Just until you settled down," she'd said. I never moved back. She had 4 more children after me. Tyler, Madison, Devin, and Laura. Picture perfect blondes, holiday cards, private school, group vacations to Disney and the coast. I wasn't in the photos. When I was 16, I sent my mother a framed picture of the honor roll certificate I'd received for maintaining a 4.0 GPA. It arrived during their family trip to Paris. I got a group email back with a line that read, "So proud of all my wonderful children this month," with no mention of what I'd sent. By the time I turned 20, I stopped trying. I paid my way through school, 2 jobs, no help. Majored in finance, did my MBA nights while working days at a tax firm that specialized in high net worth estate structuring. My mother called on my 25th birthday. The conversation lasted 3 minutes. She told me she forgot how old I was. "You're not still doing that number stuff, are you?" she asked. I built my own firm at 31st March Advisory. Remote-based, quietly successful. I kept my name off the website. I wanted clean work, not noise. The only person in my family who ever visited my grandfather, my mother's father. He came once a month after he stopped driving. I'd make coffee, and he'd sit by the window reading prospectuses out loud. "I always said you had the brain for this," he'd tell me. "Pity your mother never noticed." He passed 2 years ago, left me 3 things: a leather watch, a handwritten letter, and full administrative control of the family trust. The trust wasn't just a symbolic gesture, it held real weight. My grandfather's estate was sizable, not billionaire money, but enough to cover generational education, property, business funding, and retirement support. What no one else in the family knew, because he asked me not to tell them, was that I was named both financial trustee and sole discretionary gatekeeper of all disbursements not contractually fixed. Every quarterly transfer, every tuition payout, every home equity loan, they all passed through me. My signature, my approval. I never used it, never weaponized it, never flexed. Not even when I watched my siblings throw graduation parties I wasn't invited to, or post wedding photos that cropped me out. I just signed the checks, approved the statements, sent the payments. Until last night. After I got home from the birthday party, I opened the trust portal. My mother's most recent withdrawal had been labeled as a home upgrade. $18,400 for renovation expenses. I clicked through the receipts. There were invoices for a new Italian wine fridge, outdoor speakers, and a $10,000 clawfoot bathtub she posted on Instagram 2 weeks ago with the caption, "Only the best for this queen." There was also a flagged alert from our compliance module, duplicate disbursement. Tyler had used a nearly identical vendor code on a home equity claim filed 2 months earlier. I opened Madison's recent educational support claim. She had submitted a receipt from the same electronics vendor used by Laura last fall. Same purchase amount, same model laptop, 3 months apart. In short, they were double-dipping, lying, embezzling, and I had quietly approved it all. I closed the portal, reopened it. This time I didn't log in as the administrator. I logged in as the auditor, a role only I had the password for. My grandfather had insisted I build it. "Just in case blood ever forgets what integrity is," he said. I launched the internal investigation at 10:04 p.m. By 10:11, the portal locked all discretionary spending under Clause 14C. In the event of suspected fraud, misrepresentation, or exploitation of assets, the trustee may enact a full freeze pending review. The system sent automatic notices to every recipient account. Every card connected to the trust bounced. Every scheduled payment paused. Every priority guest got locked out. I didn't call anyone, didn't email, didn't text. I just made tea, turned off the lamp, and slept better than I had in years. The first voicemail came in at 7:02 a.m. "Daniel, it's Mom. I don't know what's going on, but the Creststone Spa says my payment declined. Can you check the trust site? It's probably just a glitch." The second at 7:28. "Now the florist's invoice isn't going through either. I have things to pay for this week. Please respond." The third was shorter. "Call me now." I didn't. By 8 a.m., 3 more calls from Tyler. 2 from Madison. 1 from a number I didn't recognize. Probably Laura using someone else's phone. The trust's security dashboard showed 21 login attempts across 5 devices, all blocked. Clause 14C was holding perfectly. I opened my email and reviewed the audit summary. Key findings: $58,000 in misclassified expenses over the past 9 months, duplicate tuition disbursements across 2 siblings, fraudulent contractor invoices filed under home repairs, cross payouts for wedding venues coded as business development retreats. Each infraction was logged, time-stamped, and matched to the originating IP address. All traceable, all deliberate. The trust had been designed with flexibility, but it wasn't blind. My grandfather believed in generosity, but he hated entitlement. He'd made that clear in the notes he left me. If they ever forget the difference between help and theft, remind them gently. If they still forget, remind them permanently. At 9:13 a.m., my phone rang again. This time, I answered. "Daniel," my mother snapped, voice already mid-panic. "What is happening? The account is locked. Everything is bouncing. I tried paying the caterer, and it said the trust was under fraud review." "It is," I said. "Under what authority?" "Clause 14C. A beat of silence. I could hear her heels pacing on tile. "You're being dramatic. I'm being thorough. You can't freeze my life over bookkeeping errors. I haven't frozen your life. I've paused discretionary funding. The difference is in the definitions. You're using this to punish me. Don't flatter yourself." She called again an hour later, this time trying warmth. "Daniel, honey, I understand you're upset. You left the party early and I get it. I wasn't as attentive as I could have been, but this isn't the way to handle things. It's childish." "I'm not upset," I said. "You froze your mother's retirement disbursement. I executed a compliance review. This isn't business, Daniel. It's literally a trust." By noon, emails had escalated to threats. Tyler sent one from his corporate account, copying 2 lawyers and titling it, "Urgent, Trustee Overreach and Family Trust Mismanagement." The body was 4 sentences long. I read it twice, then forwarded it to the trust's legal counsel with one line. Please find attached a preview of the sibling who listed his houseboat as an educational tax expense. By 3 p.m., Laura texted, I have a newborn and bills to pay. You can't just do this because you're mad about some dinner seating. I didn't respond. Instead, I pulled the trust records for the birth wellness expense Laura claimed last fall. It was a $9,600 payout for a postpartum healing coach that, upon further inspection, was a 5-night luxury hotel stay with her fiancé. The invoice had been doctored. The real provider didn't offer coaching. It offered couples massages and wine pairings. At 4:45 p.m., I submitted the final audit package to our independent reviewer. All flagged parties were scheduled for formal compliance interviews. Each sibling, my mother, even Robert, her husband, who'd applied for a golf course expansion loan under the label Community Youth Engagement. By 6 o'clock, my mother showed up at my apartment, unannounced. I didn't buzz her in. She got through the side entrance when a neighbor came home. I opened the door, let her in, and stood by the kitchen counter. She didn't sit. Do you hate me? She asked carefully. No. Then why are you doing this? Because I let this go for 10 years. Because you didn't notice until it affected your checking account. Because I'm not going to let you launder love through spreadsheets anymore. This is vindictive. This is documented. She tried tears. She tried silence. She tried putting her hand on my arm like she used to when she needed money for furniture she'd already ordered. Just unfrozen, she said. Just mine. Not the kids. Just give me mine. I'd need to see the receipts first, I said. I'm your mother. I opened my laptop, turned the screen toward her, clicked open the flagged entry, her name, her signature, her Instagram post with the caption, "What's the point of aging if you can't upgrade everything?" Underneath it, the invoice she had doctored to match the claim. She stared at it for a long time. You went digging. You filed it. She left 10 minutes later, said nothing on the way out, closed the door gently. At 9 p.m., I received a new voicemail from her. No words, just the sound of something glass breaking in the background. Then the beep. I deleted it, then locked the portal for the night. By Monday morning, the spiral was well underway. The trust's servers logged 83 failed login attempts in the first 6 hours. At 10:15 a.m., I received a call from Wellesley Mortgage Group. The voice on the other end asked if I could confirm the status of a $460,000 family-backed loan issued to Madison and her husband, currently on pause pending internal trust dispute. I confirmed. Pause is correct. Indefinitely. At 11:04, the Westridge Country Club submitted a second payment request for the annual family membership. It auto-declined. My mother had labeled it under Community Engagement. The system now flagged that tag with a red asterisk. Tag previously abused. Disallowed. Tyler sent another email. Subject: Urgent. My daughter's tuition is due. Today. Attached was a screenshot of a billing statement. I enlarged it. His daughter was enrolled in a $60,000 per year boarding school 5 states away. He'd submitted a duplicate reimbursement last fall, claiming emergency medical travel under his own name. I replied with 2 words, Clause 14C. By noon, Laura was trending on a parenting blog for alleged financial abuse. A former friend had posted screenshots from her group chat. Daniel's being petty because he was jealous he wasn't seated with adults. He's using Grandpa's trust like it's his therapy. The thread gained traction. What she didn't realize was that the screenshots included a spreadsheet with time-stamped edits. The same spreadsheet she submitted to the trust, doctored. That post was forwarded directly to our trust's legal team. By 4 p.m., they'd issued her a formal fraud warning. At 3:17 p.m., I received a call from our family attorney, Michael Darden. Daniel, just checking in. Are you intending to escalate this? I already have. He sighed. You understand this could end in legal removals? Yes. They're claiming mental harassment. They've been siphoning funds through false claims for almost a decade. I'd call it maintenance. There was a pause on the line. Then, I have to admit, it's all very clean. At 5:40 p.m., my mother called again. Her voice had dropped the edge. I'm just asking for clarification now, she said. The audit is one thing, but you understand this is affecting people's lives, right? I opened her itemized disbursement history. One line stood out. June 12th, 2021. Medical necessity, emotional therapy, $12,800. It was a 3-day spa retreat at a wine resort in Oregon. You wrote off a mimosa package as trauma recovery, I said. So yes, I understand this is affecting people's lives. The Board of Trustees convened on Thursday. We didn't meet in person. Everything was digital, secure. The vote was unanimous. My mother's spending privileges were revoked. Siblings' future requests were locked behind Tier 3 approval, which meant full documentation, real signatures, and face-to-face interviews with an outside reviewer. Only one sibling replied directly to the memo. "Laura, I hope you sleep well, knowing you've humiliated your entire family." I didn't reply, but I did screenshot it. I saved it in the folder labeled Responses. By the end of the week, the family's group credit line was closed. Automatic tuition pipelines were rerouted pending interviews. Monthly stipends were paused. Any trust-connected checking account over $5,000 was now under review status. And then something happened I didn't expect. My youngest niece, Devin's daughter Emily, texted me directly. She was 15. We'd never spoken alone before. "Uncle Daniel, can I ask you something? Are they mad because you did something bad or because they did?" I stared at the screen a long time. I typed, "They're mad because I didn't look away anymore." She wrote back, "Thanks for not looking away from me." The next day, I filed a private tuition grant under Clause 6A, Independent Youth Merit Exception, in her name. Anonymous. $20,000. Renewable. She'd never know where it came from, but it would clear every semester. Quietly. On time. At 9:30 p.m., I poured a bourbon and stared out at the city. My apartment wasn't big, but it was mine. Paid for. Quiet. Safe. The last message that night came from my mother. No greeting. No subject line. "You didn't even say goodbye at the party." I let the screen dim. Monday morning, Tyler went live on Facebook. His voice shook as he stood outside the office of March Advisory, speaking to his phone with a forced calm. This is the kind of thing that tears families apart. One person with a grudge, controlling everything, deciding who deserves support and who doesn't. I watched it once. No comment, just clicked save. An hour later, I got a message from one of our mutual clients, someone who'd used my firm for estate restructuring last year. "Just saw your brother trying to call you out online. Hope he realizes who really made that tax shelter work." She included a laughing emoji. At 11:17 a.m., Laura's lawyer sent an email with the subject line, "Motion to review trustee authority. Abuse of discretion alleged." I forwarded it to Darden. By 1 p.m., we had a response. "We welcome the review. All transactions are documented. All discrepancies recorded. Should the court require public records, we are prepared to release them in full." They never followed through. That afternoon, my mother called again. She sounded tired, not defeated, just old. "Daniel," she said, "I need to talk to you about the board's decision. This is all out of proportion." "Your financial privileges have been reviewed and revoked," I said. "The board voted unanimously. That includes your husband." "I'm your mother, and I was your son," I replied. Until the kids' table, the legal team finalized the restructuring of the trust on Thursday. All discretionary powers were now centralized. 1 point of sign-off, 0 external overrides. Mine. Each family member would be allowed to apply for quarterly funding, not monthly, not whenever they felt like it. Documentation required. 2 failed claims would trigger a 6-month ban. 3 would trigger permanent removal. They would still have access to their fixed inheritances. But the supplemental lifestyle, the part that bought the spa trips, luxury furniture, and second homes, that ended this week. Only one member of the family wasn't affected, Emily. Her tuition was now guaranteed through a separate educational fund I created under the umbrella of a literacy foundation. She didn't know. She never would. But she sent me a photo the next morning of her acceptance letter from a pre-college writing camp. "Thank you, whoever you are," the message read. Tyler tried one more play. He offered to meet man-to-man in a public place to talk it out. I declined. He followed up with a single line. "Grandpa would be ashamed of you." I replied once. "Grandpa gave me the keys because he saw what you were." No response. 2 weeks later, I received a formal apology letter. Not from my mother. Not from any sibling. It came from Robert, her husband. Typed, signed, dated, stamped with a notary. While I've been complicit in years of silence, I recognize now the systems we benefited from were built on entitlement. I accept the board's ruling and will not contest. I hope you will not view all of us as irredeemable. I folded the letter and filed it under. Rare. On a rainy Tuesday, 3 weeks after the party, I walked past the Creststone Hotel on my way home. They had a new banner hanging inside. Same marble floors, same glass chandeliers. A woman behind the counter was arguing with a delivery driver about a cake order. For some reason, the scene stuck with me. That night, I pulled a cardboard box out of my closet. Inside was the old photo album my grandfather had given me on his last birthday. It only had 3 pictures. One of him holding me as a toddler. One of us standing outside my office the day I got my license. One of me alone, at a table with a plastic fork in my hand, looking out at the sea. He took that one himself. Said it made me look like someone who already knew the answer. I stared at it for a long time, then closed the box and put it away. 2 months passed. No more calls from my mother. No new voicemails from my siblings. No more public Facebook rants or legal letters thinly veiled as requests for reconsideration. Just silence, the kind of silence you earn. The trust stabilized. The quarterly process went live. Each family member received a new handbook, digital only, no printouts. Every entry required two-step verification and PDF receipts. No exceptions, no explanations, no special circumstances. They were still wealthy, but not entitled. I took a long weekend in Asheville, rented a cabin at the edge of the Blue Ridge. No service, no laptop, just books, black coffee, and the wind. One afternoon I hiked to a ridge my grandfather once mentioned. Somewhere, he said, the sky looked honest. It did. I scattered his ashes there 2 years ago. No one else came. Not because I asked them not to, because they didn't ask if they should. On the last morning of the trip, I took a photo of the view and sent it to no one. It wasn't for proof. It was for me. Back home, my mailbox held a square white envelope. No return address. Inside, a single folded note. Family dinner this Saturday. No hard feelings. Hope you'll come. Signed. Mom. Attached was a printed RSVP form with yes already circled. There was a sticky note on it. You'll be seated at the main table this time. I put the envelope down. Didn't move. Not out of shock. Just calculation. Then I walked to the kitchen, opened the drawer, pulled out the paper plate from the birthday. Still folded. Still clean. I wrapped it in white tissue, slipped it into a plain box. No note, no signature, no name, just the plate. Saturday afternoon, I handed the package to a courier, paid extra for delivery confirmation. The timestamp showed it arrived at 6:43 p.m., 17 minutes before they cut the cake. That night at 9:22, I got a text from Madison. "What the hell is wrong with you?" I didn't reply. 2 days later, a letter arrived, handwritten this time. It was from my mother. "You've made your point. I hope you find peace in all of this. I don't know who you are anymore." I tore the page clean down the middle. Not out of anger, out of balance. 3 weeks later, Emily sent a photo. She'd made the honor roll. In the background, behind her locker door, I saw something taped up. It was the wrapper from the anonymous scholarship fund letter, the one I sent in silence. She'd drawn a little smiley face next to it in red pen, and written, "Thank you, whoever you are." Spring came. I had a new desk built. Handcrafted oak, clean lines, no drawers, nothing hidden, just space, room to think. At the center, beneath the glass top, I placed one thing, a square framed paper plate, flattened, preserved, white, unwritten, a reminder of what I came from, what they saw me as, and how much power silence can carry if you wait long enough. It was just a plate, but it fed every answer they never asked for. That's all for this story. I'll be back with another one. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. It motivates me to create more content like this.